Cecily Rios from Funimation, and this is One Piece at a Time. I'm your host and a social media producer. And in celebration of the One Piece anime's 20th anniversary, I'm watching the show for the first time, and every week, a seasoned fan rewatching the series will join me in exploring each episode following the Merroot binge guide. So come aboard on this adventure starting right now. Welcome back, everybody, and welcome back, Jana.
Hi, that's me.
We are on podcast episode number 35, in which we'll go through anime episodes 271 to 278. And on the last podcast episode, which was 34, we went through episodes 264 to 270. The Straw Hats started their attack on Enies lobby with the Franky family and Galila. Luffy went straight ahead. Zoro made Rocket Man fly. Sodom, the King Bull, fell, helping the Straw Hats. And Robin realized that CP9 tricked her and plans to imprison the crew. Course. So their deal is off. Luffy faces Blue Note on the roof right before we end the podcast episode, and he lets him know that he's willing to fight until he dies.
Epic.
And on this episode, the Straw Hat Coalition will keep pushing forward on the storming of Enies lobby. Luffy will try a new power.
Ooh.
And they reach Robin, and we finally learn the details of our past. Ooh,
oh my gosh.
So excited to discuss.
I'm ready.
And cry about.
We have our tissues.
Yes.
We're ready.
So starting with episode 271. Don't stop. Hoist the counterattack signal. We begin right where we left off. Sodom has fallen, but Gamora is pushing through with the rest of the crew. And poor Chopper is having a hard time.
Right, because he can understand what they're saying and stuff, and it's just, poor thing.
But he's being brave.
He is.
And then Kokoro calls Nami on the transponder.
Yes.
And lets her know about the levers on the towers to lower the drawbridge to the gates of justice.
Right, because they have to get from the courthouse to the gates of justice. And so, but the levers need to be pulled at the same time from each separate tower. So that's when the group discusses kind of how they're going to split up. The Franky family says that they're going to stay and they'll pull the levers while the Straw Hats, they need to be together. So they have to like group up with whatever Luffy is doing. Chimney does mention that she saw Luffy on the roof. They know where he is now.
They know where he is. Oh my God, in the most annoying way. She's like, hello.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like,
I
girl,
hate when they,
just deliver your message.
I know.
She can hear you.
So unnecessary, so annoying, but it's charming in its own way, I guess.
Her mouth is very strange. It always makes me laugh when I see her because she's got just like the tiny lips.
And then the little rabbit thing has the same like lip thing going on. It's so goofy.
So they split up to lower the bridge so the Straw Hats can get to the courthouse.
Gamora is hit by the jurymen?
Yeah, suddenly one of these big chained sort of cannonballs.
Oh, like a ball and chain thing. Yeah, one of those things.
Hits Gamora.
Yeah, that's what hits him. Yeah, and it knocks him over, and
yeah, we just see that then Gamora is also hurt now. And then we cut to the square where Galila is still fighting.
And they're with the Sniper King.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the giants arrive.
Okay, yeah. So this is cool because this is when like you see that Usopp as Soga King has been talking with them. They basically like now know
the truth.
The truth that they've been lied to by the world government and stuff.
Yes. So they basically tricked them into being guards of this gate.
Right.
To release their bosses.
Right.
Which wasn't true.
Right. And Usopp was like, no, we saw those dudes. Like, it's all good. And this is very, like, Usopp to basically win over the hearts of some people. Like, in arcs, he kind of tends to do that a little bit. Like, you might see that a little bit more later on. Whether he means to or not, like, he's kind of, his lies tend to kind of help. In this case, it was a truth, though, so that worked. But now these giants are coming onto the scene, and everyone is freaking out. All the Marines are like, oh, they're here to help us, kick the Straw Hats' butt. And in a classic Oda style, these giants look very, like, intimidating, and you think that they're still, against the Straw Hats. You don't know what they're going to do. And then they go to punch or, like, hit them, and they hit the Marines, and they're like, you lied to us!
Yeah.
And so now we have the giants on our side.
Yes, thanks to Sniper King. Yeah, we were so worried when he got left behind, but it turned into a super positive.
Yes.
Because then he got to recruit these giants.
Yes.
So,
yeah, I also kind of really like that Usopp got left behind because I think it shows that in order for him to gather with the group, with the rest of the Straw Hats, that's kind of their goal right now, is to all meet up together. He has to fight to do that, and it's kind of his way of proving his intent to go back to the crew.
Oh, that's a great observation.
Yeah, it's because, I mean, it's not enough to just, meet up when the Rocket Man hit and everything. Like, then it would have just been like they were kind of forced together and, I guess I'm joining up. Now it's like he's forced to, like, actively pursue that.
That's great. We go back to CP9, where Kaku and Khalifa are going to eat the devil fruits that Spandam gave them.
So this is where you learn a lot about devil fruits.
Yes, we learn a little bit more about devil fruits because Jabra is super scared about being close to them because he has this mistaken idea that the devil from the other fruit will sort of fight with the devil inside him.
Right.
And it'll destroy him.
But that's just, they dismiss that as this sort of myth. A lot of scientists in the world of One Piece have been studying the fruits, and they've determined that really it's just if you have a devil's fruit power and you get greedy or something and you try to eat a second devil fruit, it will, I guess, like make you burst.
Yeah.
Like it's
just
a bad reaction. Yeah, you'll explode. Boom, done.
Done. That's, everybody knows.
And it's interesting because someone mentions that, they haven't seen these fruits in a reference book before. So there actually are books in the world of One Piece, like referencing all the fruits.
That makes sense.
It's neat.
Yeah.
It's neat. But
there's so many.
Very few of them are actually like photographed, or I don't know if pictures are technically the word, but like they're, depicted.
Yeah.
So no one really knows what they look like. So even if you see something that looks like a devil fruit, you don't know what power it coordinates to most of the time. You just gotta guess, which is what these guys gotta do.
Yeah. And they look funny. Like, Khalifa's is like a big purple fruit.
It's not like a melon, maybe.
Yeah, maybe like a melon.
Yeah.
It's green on the inside.
Right.
And then Kaku has like these
It's a banana.
bright pink bananas.
Yeah. Fuchsia bananas with like yellow actual banana thing inside that has little curls on the inside fruit too.
Yeah.
It's
And
so
supposedly
weird
they
looking.
taste horrible.
Horrible. Notoriously horrible.
So they eat them. Also, I was wondering while I was watching this, do they need to eat the whole thing?
So I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think of...
Because they really eat them.
yeah, they straight up ate the whole thing. There's like,
and I'm like, well, it
okay.
tastes awful.
I don't think so, because I'm pretty sure Luffy only took one bite of the gum fruit.
Okay.
Maybe. I
think so.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, I think they interrupt him before he eats the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Either way, I've heard in other places too, you just need a bite and it's your power. So
they just love pain.
yeah, I guess they were just like, well, if I'm going to do this,
Just in case. I'll eat the whole thing.
get every little bit of power.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And we don't really know if they got power or what their power is.
Yeah, we don't know what their
immediately.
abilities are.
Not like Luffy, where we immediately see him stretch out.
Not yet. But the interesting thing about Kumadori is he looks like a kabuki character, and it's just very obviously like Japanese reference.
Yeah.
Pay attention to that in One Piece.
Okay.
Like, that's...
Yeah, I can see that. Like on the last episode, he made a little play.
Yeah.
It's talking
like a
about his
kabuki
mom.
play. Yes. Yes.
So sad.
It's so funny.
And even Khalifa's like, okay, they're done with their play. Like,
right,
we can
right.
continue
Just like,
talking.
we're done. We can move on. Yeah, yeah. So that's an
definitely look
interesting
out for
thing.
that.
Yeah, yeah. There's gonna be more of that. Okay, so after they eat these fruits and they have that whole like freaking out because they taste so bad, we head over to where Bluno is, and he's over with Luffy on the roof.
Yeah, last we saw, they were fighting. Luffy stated that he would fight to the death. And yeah, they just keep fighting. Bluno's super fast, but Luffy's keeping up too. Because last time they faced each other, like, Luffy had a pretty hard time fighting these guys.
Yeah, the last time that I remember, like, our last podcast segment, he just was trying to, they were on the sea trains, and he was trying to, like, hit Bluno, and he could barely, like, move him.
Yeah.
Or was that Sanji?
That was Sanji.
Whoops. But yeah, still.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. It's just like really powerful. Like you can't move him. And then he's pulling his like doorman moves.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what Luffy calls it, is doorman. And I'm wondering if that was a reference to Doraemon.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know.
Could be.
Could be. But either way, it's this like thing where he can make Luffy's face turn into a door that just rotates
It's crazy.
on this weird like invisible hinge at his ear or something.
That blew my mind a little bit.
Yeah,
because I was like, wait, how does this work? Is his brain split?
I know, you're like looking for his brain in there, and you're just like, it's nothing. It's just gray, and his face is just sliced. We see a lot of devil fruit powers that just kind of split bodies, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, you're alive. Like, it's fine. I don't know.
I don't know. Like, with Buggy, when he chops up his body, but I didn't think of it. Like, I don't know if it's because it was his head that I was like, wait, you can't just split your
split
head.
someone's head.
Without consequence.
And also because it was Buggy's power, it's okay if Buggy splits up.
Right.
But if it's your power splitting someone else up, what will happen to them? Yeah, and one consideration, and you kind of see it a little later, is like you see from Bluno's perspective inside kind of an alternate sort of world when he's inside his doors.
Yeah.
How he sees the world. It's just kind of like, it seems like a different dimension almost. And so maybe that's where it goes.
Where it happens?
I don't know. Like maybe that's
maybe
part
it's just
of
a
why
reflection on the outside of what's happening here.
I have no idea. So,
interesting.
we're trying to put logic to One Piece, and it's not getting us anywhere. Anyway, we go back to where Gamora is.
Mm-hmm. He's pushing through. He's hurt from this attack that he just received, but he makes a last charge for it to try and get everyone to the courthouse. And I'm just there, just like cheering, because he yells like, and he's gonna make the run for it, and that's where it ends.
Gamora,
right?
yes. Episode 272. Almost to Luffy. Gather at the courthouse plaza.
First of all, I want to ask, does this episode look different? Because I know you had mentioned sometimes when the episodes look different, it's because there's like a guest director or something like that.
So I was wondering. I'm going to check. So the director is Hiroyuki Kakudo, and he's done stuff for Digimon. He's worked on Super, Dragon Ball Super. I mean, he's not one of the, I don't think he's one of the typical directors. Maybe. Who knows? Like, it's a little hard to tell. I don't know. If anyone else finds anything, like, figures out, like, oh, this is like a artist who did this or something else, let us know.
Yeah, let us know. So we go back to Gamora, and he can't see anything after the hit that he took.
Yeah, poor thing.
Yeah, but he starts, thinking about the promise that he made to Sodom.
Which made me cry.
I know.
I totally cried because it was just, I don't know, when you see animals being sad, they're just so pure.
Yeah, I know.
They're so good and innocent and wholesome. And like, so this is where you see their backstory, which is short, sweet, but really precious. And so they were apparently eaten by a sea king when they were itty bitty, or smaller at least. We didn't see how small they were. And the Franky family killed that sea king and ate that sea king, and they found them inside. And Franky was like, I'm full. Let's not eat them.
Yeah. Let's keep them as backup food.
Right, backup food. That's all they were in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. But then we see a short flash of a little bit later when some pirates apparently kicked their asses, and Franky was like not having it, and he's like,
right,
you don't mess with my family. So they are part of the family.
They are part of the family.
And then you see them afterwards. We don't actually see the fighting or anything, but we do see them afterwards.
They're like dancing. We're both just like dancing here in the stage.
Yes. Just like because they're so happy.
They're so happy and
Franky's
precious.
like, you can't dance, you're hurt.
I know.
Just like dancing.
And they're just happy.
So Chopper's translating all of this for us.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Chopper.
Thank you, Chopper.
So
but Gamora keeps on pushing forward, but he can't see, right? So there's a dead end.
Like straight at the courthouse, and they're just like, oh no, what are we gonna do? And someone's like, there's a dead end, and that's when like Zoro and Sanji are like, a dead end? I don't see one.
Me either.
And then they just bust through, as they do.
Yes,
as we've seen several times.
Yeah. Just break a building.
Leading up, just bust up a building, sure.
No problem.
It's cool.
He makes it. Gamora makes it to the courthouse and faints in front of it, but he did it. He fulfilled his promise and took everybody to the courthouse. So you go back to Spandam.
Yes.
And he got a golden transponder snail.
And an elephant.
And an elephant. He has an elephant that's there, all cute, just eating his fruit.
Yeah, just hanging out.
He doesn't deserve it.
No. So Spandam calls, or he has the golden snail, and he's just kind of like talking about how, like, oh, this is like power. It makes me equivalent to an admiral, that I have this power to do a buster call. And he's just full of himself.
Yes. And he calls in. He checks on the transponder on his desk, which has the receiver off, as we've seen apparently happens a lot.
Right. Because he's so responsible.
Yeah. So he's like, let me call in since nobody has called me for a report. He calls in and he tells the person on the other side, like, say it like loud and clear, because he just sort of wants to taunt Robin and Franky.
Yeah.
So
he's so confident that there's going to be no report of issues, like that they're just kind of destroying the Straw Hats, and like he even like decides a number that only 5 Marines were hurt, whatever. Yeah, he has the guy say it loud and clear, and he keeps like interrupting him too.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, so they didn't get hurt, anything? And the guy's finally just like, no, it's bad. Like the Straw Hats are like demolishing us.
Yes. Yep. He tells them about the giants that are now with them. He tells them like the casualties are in the thousands, and that the pirates made it to the courthouse plaza. His jaw just drops, like he can't believe what is happening.
Right.
And I think Franky starts laughing when he hears it.
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh, Franky. We do see a shot of Sanji and Zoro with Gamora behind them as they're like walking towards the courthouse just before like the eye catch comes up, and it looks really cool.
Yes. They have to make it to the top where Luffy is.
They have to get inside first.
Well, yeah, first. To go to the top, they have to
and that's when Zoro's just like, oh, let me just cut these doors.
Right. And it's super funny because the Franky fam guy is like, how are we going to open this big stone? And when he turns around and says doors, Zoro's already cut them up.
Let's go. Come on.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh,
just go.
Thanks, Zoro.
It's super funny to me that they're always so surprised whenever they show their power. They're
so
like,
shocked.
Yeah.
It's good. I love that reaction. And I mean, to have that sort of audience helps the actual audience know how to react to things. It's really good humor writing.
Yeah, so they split up, and Franky family splits with Mozu and Kiwi.
Yeah, going to the different towers to get the different doors, which I love, just that they use the 2 twins to split them up and perfectly even. Like, yeah, that's pretty.
And then some stay with Yokozuna to go into the courthouse with the Straw Hats.
Sumo Frog.
Yes,
he's here to keep anyone from coming in and following the Straw Hats as they head up to where Luffy is.
We go back to Luffy and Bluno on top of the courthouse, and Bluno's baffled, like, by Luffy's strength. Like, he doesn't get how from the last time that they basically fought each other to now, how did he get so much stronger?
He has that moment when, as they're fighting, he's like, what's going on? How is he so fast? And he's like, following my moves. And this is when Luffy kind of reveals, like, he starts explaining how, after he fought Aokiji, he realized that he's, running into people who are stronger and stronger, and he keeps running into them, and if he doesn't make himself stronger, then he can't protect his friends.
Yes.
And this statement is really epic because, I mean, he's said things like this before. You've heard Luffy kind of, make this point of how he wants to be strong and stuff, but he's really saying it now. And he's also, we soon see that he is pairing it with a new move. And because they're pairing this new move with this sort of statement, I feel like this is when it really matters. And you'll basically just keep this whole thing in your pocket, in your memory, and wait about 200 episodes.
Okay.
Like, that's One Piece for you. I'm sorry, but not.
Yeah. I mean,
but it's like this is build up to things that are going to happen, and like Luffy is stating his values, what he wants to do, why he wants to get stronger, the fact that he wants to protect his friends, and he says here he's doing it so I won't lose anyone. Is his phrase, and it's like what happens when that gets challenged? Like,
oh my God.
what happens. Just keep it in mind.
I will. Oh my God. Another thing for my collection, along with Ace's paper.
Yeah, Ace's paper and that thing, and a lot of little things to just in your pocket.
Statement. Got it.
Yes. So, and that's exactly what happens. Like, and so as Luffy is saying this, he's thinking of, you know, the Straw Hat crew, and you'll notice that, like, Usopp's back is turned, because even in Luffy's mind, he doesn't quite still want to acknowledge Usopp yet. Mm-hmm. But this is when he announces it. His new move. What did you think?
Says second gear. And that's where it ends.
Second gear.
I was like, wait, what is this power? Because he just starts turning pink.
Uh-huh.
And then he starts steaming.
Yeah.
And his legs have this weird thing happening.
Right.
And I'm like, wait, what is this?
What is it?
And yeah, and when Bluno was wondering about his power, here I am thinking I know anything about the world. And I'm thinking, well, he wants to rescue his friend. Like, that'll give him more power, because Luffy's at his best when he's trying to help somebody, especially if it's like a crew member.
Right.
So I was like, obviously he's more powerful because he's trying to save Robin, and then no, it's because he's got this new move.
Right. So you think like his like strength, his more recent like uptick in his strength was just emotionally driven, because he's trying to protect his friends. Mm-hmm. But now you realize, wait, he actually kind of had something in his pocket.
Yeah.
Like he had an ace up his sleeve.
Mm-hmm. This has been one of the quickest times that I have pressed the button to the next episode. I didn't finish the ending theme.
You didn't even watch anything,
I didn't see all the drawings. Sorry.
None of that. Yeah, just skip them.
Just skip them.
Like, what is this?
What is it? I need to know. On home video, One Piece episode of East Blue as well as episode of Skypiea are now up for pre-order. Episode of East Blue comes out September 24th, dubbed for the first time, with an exclusive 20th anniversary documentary featuring the English cast and the Funimation crew. Episode of Skypiea is coming out November 26th, dubbed also for the first time, with exclusive dub outtakes. Get them both at funimation.com/shop for your collection. And now, moving on to episode 273. Everything is to protect my friends. Second gear activated. Second gear.
Yes, but we don't get there quite yet. Because now we start with the courthouse, and the Straw Hats are in there fighting Baskerville, I think its name is. The three-headed dude, which is really funny. I thought that was...
Baskerville and left Baskerville.
Yes.
And I don't remember the name of the
guy in the center who's just
has a different name.
he's very stern. To me it kind of, I think like left wing, right wing, and then like, you know, it's just the one in the middle. Like if this is supposed to be a judge, it kind of makes sense. But everyone's calling him Cerberus, that's fitting too. Just gatekeeper of hell.
True. Yes, because the three heads, right.
Right.
Gotcha.
And the gate to whatever behind him. Yeah. So this is when Zoro pulls out the charming demon Sleepless Night Onigiri, phantom looking thing, and just wipes everyone away. And the Franky family behind him is just, again, just like,
excuse me? How are you so powerful?
He puts us all to shame.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Sanji runs by and they're like, oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah. We forgot about him. Poor Sanji. He's been getting that a lot lately.
He has. And this is when he's just like, oh, Nami, I'm here to protect you. But then he's like, oh yeah, Robin too. Like, I bet Robin is waiting for her prince to save her.
Yeah. And he starts running up the stairs like, forget Nami, Robin's waiting for me.
Yes, I know. It's just so... Way to go, Sanji.
Just, like, rolling their eyes. Zoro's getting lost at the same time.
Already.
And everybody's just running up the stairs. Like, the stairs are right there, and he just runs to the right.
He's just, he knows he has to go up, but he doesn't take the stairs. He's just like, this hallway.
Yeah.
This is it. This is where I belong.
And Nami calls him out, and Chopper even gives him some sass, and he's like, I'll try to make some medicine to fix your brain problem.
I love that. And they were like, can you make medicine for Sanji too? And he's like, no, that's a lost cause. Yeah.
So snarky.
So snarky. While they're, kind of scrambling up and stuff, the Franky family, they go after Baskerville. And they are like pulling him off the stairs and trying to take him down, which I think is good because that frees up the Straw Hats to basically head back to where Luffy is.
Yes.
Because basically right now it's really important that they all get together for this for what's kind of coming up.
So we go back to Luffy,
Who is steamy and shiny.
He's steamy, shiny, and pink. I don't know what's wrong with him. And he starts going like, I'm glad I met you because thanks to you, I won't ever lose my friends. And then he goes into his second gear, and it blows my mind because he's just like, it's basically his moves, but like super fast and super powerful.
Gum Gum Jet Pistol, but like really fast. Like, you know, Luffy is moving fast when he doesn't even have time to call out his moves before he does them.
Right.
There was a few when he's just like punching, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. And then, so I noticed that the names of the moves are the same, but now they have jet on them. So so that I'm like, oh, it just makes them faster because it's his second gear like a car. And I'm like,
like a car.
Oh my God.
I know.
I was just like mind blown. I had to go back and like rewatch like his first attacks.
Really?
Again,
to just like watch
because
and
I
like
wanted
see it?
Yeah, to get all in.
I'm so excited. Like I'm trying to like hold it in because I just want you to like just enjoy all of this, and it's really fun to like watch someone react to this because it's been so long since I first saw it.
What did you think? Like rewatching
it, it's
the first time that he did this.
I'd almost kind of forgotten.
Yeah.
That like this is where it all began, but it makes sense and stuff, and I can kind of help to explain to you a little bit of what's going on. I know it'll explain more later, but it's up to you.
Yeah.
A little bit?
Yes.
So if you notice in the beginning of his move, he like kind of squats down to the ground, and its legs, you know, they kind of squish and make like a pumping action. So he's pumping his blood flow to speed up the blood flow to get more nutrients to the rest of his body. And that's helping him be stronger. But that also causes side effects.
Gotcha.
And I think the idea is maybe like, you know, in a normal human, like this expansion and this like, you know, higher rate of motion and probably expansion in the cells and stuff would cause you to burst and die. But because he's rubber, he can expand. It's cool.
Right. It just consumes more energy, maybe?
I think so, yeah.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
But it makes all the sense, like, physiology-wise.
There's some, like, logic to it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just, like, suddenly magic. You know,
exactly.
It's like, we're still tied to the one magical item, which is the devil's fruit. And then, like, how is he using this one trip in logic to logically play out other moves and his powers? To me, that's always exciting for when you just, it feels almost realistic.
Yeah.
That makes it really good.
Whenever things like this happen, I wonder how planned out they are when this content gets created. Like when Oda Sensei is
considering
writing this.
That's a wonderful thing to think about. Like I especially doing this podcast, I think about that more and more. And there's some stuff we're gonna get to later that I'm just like mind blown, like just thinking about all these things that he must have thought about. But considering that, you know, in the end of the last episode, I was telling you, you know, pocket this for like 200 episodes from now. He is thinking at least that far ahead. We know that at this point, and we are about 300 episodes in. Like there's quite a bit of foresight and you know, thinking going in. It's remarkable.
It is. It really is. So Bluno uses his air door to escape Luffy's attacks, just sort of so he can get a breather, because right now he's thinking that he can't even believe that this is happening.
Right. Well, he's just as baffled as we are.
And he's like, it's okay, I just have to use door again on him. Yeah. And he tries to surprise Luffy from the back, but Luffy dodges and tells him, like, I learned this from your movements.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, wait, what do you mean? And so basically Luffy's been observing how they move so fast.
Luffy is observant.
I know.
What? What? Can we take a moment to be shocked by that alone? I mean, the thing is, he is actually very observant. He's a great judge of character, but it's just, does he care or use that knowledge all the time? I don't know.
He's very selective on when he observes.
He's just gonna do what he feels like when he feels like it. But he basically learned just from watching.
Just from watching him.
That's it.
So that's what he meant when he was saying, thanks to you.
Thanks to you, now I can protect my friends.
Yes.
Even though, like, right now, like, Robin is in danger and stuff. But, so this is the thing. Like, he pretty much, like, he's been attacking Bluno, and Bluno is, like, pretty much done. And Luffy is going in for another move. He says, hey, like, I didn't want to do this yet, but I was saving this up. And then he bites his thumb.
Wait, does he? No, he doesn't.
Almost.
He
has his thumb like close to his mouth,
right.
And he's like, it's like right there, and then that's when Bluno passes out.
Yeah, he passes out from the Gum Gum Jet Bazooka, which was super cool because Luffy just threw his body like super fast to the front and smashed Bluno with it.
Yeah.
And Bluno was like, I could take it with my iron body.
Right.
And for a second, we think he did, and then he just passes out.
Right. You have this moment of, like, you can't tell on his face. He seems like he's, there, but then his eyes kind of roll back.
I was a little mad, though, because I was waiting for Luffy to do whatever it was.
Move?
Yeah,
what
he was
going
to say the name and everything, and I'm like, no, what's the name? What is it?
Right?
I won't know.
You won't know.
Until Oda knows when.
You'll know pretty soon. It's okay.
But that was like, I was so baffled. I was like, wait, is Luffy a Titan? Because he's steaming. He's going to bite his finger. And I'm like, wait. I am so confused.
That's an interesting connection. That is an interesting connection. Let's be careful not to mix our anime.
Yeah. I was like, wait. I'm watching One Piece, right?
It's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
We cut back to Yokozuna, who's at the door of the courthouse, not letting anyone in. I guess there's just a lot of chaos going on. It's good so far because Mozu and Kiwi, they're like leading the charge to the towers. Zoro's lost, but that's normal. That's okay.
Yeah, the Giants picked up the Galila guys too.
Yes.
And they're rushing over to the courthouse. And the Galila guys are wondering, like, how did this happen? And Usopp's like, we warriors understand each other.
Yeah,
okay.
We're warriors.
Yeah.
Just playing into that Sogeking, like Sniper King.
Yeah, and we have all like this build-up that ends with Kokoro saying that every man, woman, and child will know the name of Straw Hat Luffy by the time this battle is over.
I got chills.
And I'm like, and Luffy just inhales and yells at Robin, like, Robin, I'm here to save you.
Yes.
And that's where it ends.
That's where it ends.
Oh, the build-up.
The build-up, and I'm getting so many chills, and it's not just because this room is freezing cold. It's just a really cool moment. I mean, Kokoro was even saying, like, in hundreds of years, no one has pulled a stunt like this one. Mm-hmm. Hundreds of years. Did something happen a few hundred years ago? I don't know, but, like, it's just, no one has seen anything like Straw Hat Luffy.
Mm-hmm. I am super excited because we just saw this new power, and we're just in the build-up stage still.
Right.
And I'm like, how is this battle going to be, like, when they actually start fighting these people?
They haven't even fought, like, CP9 yet.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Right. But at the same time, like, do notice that at this, like, pretty much the same episode where CP9 gets their Devil's Fruit powers, Luffy introduces his new power. So it's kind of evenly matched still.
That's true.
274. Give us your answer, Robin. The Straw Hats outcry. So, of course, first things first, Luffy is hungry after this use of second gear. So what does he do? He pulls meat out of his pockets. The meat that he saved on the train.
He was super prepared.
He was prepared.
Who says cargo shorts are not useful? Like,
you
can save some meat in your pockets.
Yeah, entire, like, lumps of, like, meat on the bone. Mm-hmm. And he just whips it out. It's just like, yes. And just, like, just eating away at his food pants.
Mm-hmm. His food pants. And he's just like, all ready to continue. And Spandam watches from the window, and he sees that Bluno is defeated.
And Spandam is shook.
He is super shook. Like, I think he was still shook from the report. Like, he couldn't believe that it was happening. And then he looks out the window and sees Bluno's knocked out, like, and Luffy's just standing there yelling at Robin.
Right? As you do.
Yeah.
Just eating meat and yelling at your friends. It's cool.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Franky and Nico Robin are sitting on the floor by Spandam, and Franky starts talking to her, and as they're hearing about all of this that's happening from the report, and as Spandam just saw the Blue Nose knocked out, Franky tells the Robin, like, well, the only thing left is for you to wait for your crew to bust you out of here. Like, they're here. Like, they're knocking at the door.
They're right
practically. There. But if you can't look them in the eye, in the end, they won't be able to save you. And he keeps wondering, like, through this whole time, and I think later on, too, he keeps wondering, what is it? Like, what is it that you're holding on to? What is your secret?
Right.
That we don't know about that's got you like that. And then
because he's like, Franky is a big like family man. That's not what that term means, but you know what I mean. Like he like the Franky family, and like he's just really big about like, you know, loyalty to his family, to his crew. They're very good sort of foils to each other.
Yeah, he tells her, like, whether you like it or not, I'll make you face them. I didn't quite understand what that meant until a few seconds later.
Oh no.
As Phantom is ordering the prisoners to be moved, like, since Luffy's there, right? So he's like, okay, we have to take them to the gates of justice now. So just pack them up.
Right. And, no more waiting. Let's just go. And
Franky starts inflating, like his butt starts inflating. Like, what's happening?
His whole butt is just like a giant sphere, and you're like, what even
is happening? And he just says, well, I'm done with this, so I'm just gonna, you know, call it quits here. And when this explodes, like when my butt explodes, this explosion will be like a mile wide, so I'm just gonna take everyone with me.
right So he's just like kind of suicide bombing right now with his booty. And he's like, you guys, like, better run. And everyone is like taking him seriously, because I mean, who wouldn't if someone's like butt just swole up that big?
Honestly.
And they're like running, and even Phantom is just like over the railing, just out of here.
Yeah, he's like, I'm too young to die, I'm out of here.
And then he does what's even worse, which is he grabs Robin with his legs. And for that moment, out of all that happens to Robin, I feel the most pity for her at this moment.
For real. Oh my god. He just grabs her and yells, Coup de Boo.
Coup de Boo.
And it's basically just a very powerful fart.
It is.
That makes, like, propels him
quite far, and like break through a wall, break a fence, and the fence kind of catches them, and so they land like sort of on the balcony of the courthouse. And just in case you were wondering, boo is the Japanese onomatopoeia for fart, I believe.
Oh, that makes sense. I was wondering why.
Yeah, it's not like, because I think when I first heard it, I was like, oh, is it like a ghost?
Right.
It didn't make sense. But yeah, when I learned that, I was like, oh, it all makes sense. And then it made a lot of other references to characters named Boo. Things were making sense. I was like, oh, that's neat.
Yeah, they are on the balcony now. Luffy sees Robin, and he's super happy. Like, you can see his face light up, and he's like, Robin! He's like, okay, I'll be right there. And he starts getting ready to launch himself forward, but Robin yells at him to stop. And she's just, like, yelling. I want to give props to the voice actor for Robin during this whole part.
Yes.
Because it is a great performance.
Yes, Stephanie Young.
So props to Stephanie Young, because through this moment in the balcony and what we'll talk about later on, this is just a great performance. So she just yells at him, like, why can't you just let me go? I just want to die.
Yes. Like, that moment was packed. Franky is, like, defending her, like, as she's kind of having this talk with Luffy, and also when she's telling Luffy to stop and she's kind of, like, just talking to him, we cut to scenes where we see the other Straw Hats who are fighting to come get her, come save her, and really builds up sort of the, you know, selflessness of their action toward, like, for her. And she shouts, I don't want you here. And as she says that, like, Luffy, you see Luffy's hands let go, which, like, made my gut clench, because that's so, for Luffy to back away from something in any way. And then she says, I just want to die. And this is a turning point in the battle, because all this time you've been seeing a lot of forward motion, a lot of, like, you know, everyone's progressing, like, nothing stands in the way, people are knocking stuff down. Now this is when CP9 shows up on the balcony, and they're all lining up, and they're here, they're intimidating. You see over inside the courthouse, there's, like, the guilty jury and just all this bad stuff that's happening. The Straw Hats are basically slowing down, and everyone is just kind of slowly messing up more and more. And it's kind of after that one sort of sad thing that Robin had said.
Like everybody sorts of struggles a bit after this.
Right, after this one scene. And it's interesting in the courthouse because I know that there's the judge.
Baskerville.
Yes, that's right, Baskerville. Like this judge, he's like fighting, and they're talking while they're fighting and explaining how the jury are these current prisoners who come in, who are like death row inmates who come in, and that is the jury that basically, when someone comes to the courthouse, they are tried, but they're tried by this jury who is people who just want them dead. Yeah. You know, out of sort of vengeance because they're just sort of stuck on death row. And it really shows us how the government is so complacent about labeling people guilty before they're even tried, before they even prove their innocence. Right. Kind of thing.
And how they make this whole process to, you know, well, we are trying you. You are having a chance at a trial.
A very, very shady, like false sort of, a false sense of justice. Truly.
So relatable.
Yeah. A little bit scary.
So the guilty jury is fighting everybody at the courthouse. Like Nami and Chopper are about to face one. And the girls, Kiwi and Mozu, like their groups face juries too.
Right. They're all kind of beat up and stuff. But luckily, Zoro, bless him, Zoro is lost, but he suddenly figures out, oh, I just got to go up.
Right.
So let me just cut a tunnel upwards.
I mean, it's a good idea.
With a tornado.
It's a logic idea, let's say.
It's logical. It's logical. At least he can figure out which way is up.
Yes.
Let's give him that. And so in the middle of this tornado, he kind of half kills and half saves Nami and Chopper, you know, and brings them along with him.
But at least, they made it to the roof. Thank you, Zoro.
Make it to the roof. That's right. They do get up there.
Yeah, so we go back to Luffy. I really like this part because as he is saying these things, also, like, we see the others arriving.
The others are arriving.
At the roof.
You know, you see these scenes where the Straw Hats are slowing down and it's all kind of bad, and you just, like, you're wondering, like, how does Luffy feel about this? Because you, as an audience member who loves these guys and what they've been doing, you're so hurt, you know, just to hear that Robin says she wants to die. And even Spandam is just like, oh, what kind of face is Luffy making? And you look over and he's just picking his nose. He's picking his damn nose, and he's like, that sounds dumb.
Yeah.
And he is so unfazed by it, so refreshingly unfazed. And he says, we're gonna save you anyway, like, after we get back together you can die if that's what you want, but like first I'm gonna save you.
I really love that he says it in a very matter-of-fact way.
Right.
Like, he's like, well, listen, we're already here, like,
right.
Obviously, we're gonna save you. Like, what are you talking about?
Like, what, what's your deal? Just he almost just brushes that off and is like, I don't care what you say. I'm still coming to save you.
Yeah.
And
if you want to die after we're all together, then sure. Which doesn't make sense, but it does make sense in a Luffy way.
Right.
I feel.
It does. And so immediately after he says that, the crew is together, albeit in a very hot mess sort of way. The giant launches Sniper King Usopp up the roof, which makes sense. It's like, yeah, of course he could. But then, so he's just like flying, and everyone's just like, how's he gonna land? Like, what is the plan here? And just lands face first.
Sanji breaks through the roof too, like with a kick. He just breaks out. He's like, surely I'm the first one here, and everybody's there, and
everyone's just like, okay. And they're all just there.
Luffy says, like, if you're gonna say it, like, if you're gonna say that you want to die, when you say it as part of our crew. Robin just looks at them, and they're there just like standing next to each other.
That is one of the most epic scenes in One Piece, along with, Alabasta, the scene with the X's on their arms. This is another one of those iconic moments when you see all of them like lined up on the little pillars at the courthouse. And I think it's really neat that they put Usopp right next to Luffy. Just sort of this sort of kind of parallelism, and just how it's like he's finally come back to the crew in a way, and just in a very epic way. And Robin just starts to cry seeing all of this.
Yeah, she just starts to cry, and Luffy says, like, from now on, just leave everything to us. And that's where it ends. Welcome back, everybody. We are moving on to episode 275, Robin's Past, the girl who was called a devil. I've been waiting so long for this, Jonna.
Me too. So long for these episodes. And you've been waiting so long just to know.
I know.
What's up with Robin.
We start at the balcony. CP9 is there. The straw hats are below, all lined up on the little tower thingies. Pillars.
Yeah.
Spandam orders CP9 to attack, but to stay in the building. They're
Of course. Where he's nice and safe.
Yeah.
Like a coward.
And he's thinking about, well, I need them to protect me.
Right.
I'm like, this dude.
I know. He's so pathetic.
He really is. And he starts flaunting the transponder,
snail,
the golden transponder. And Robin loses it. She's like, anything but that. Like, you have no clue what's going to happen if you press that button.
Right. Like because she says a phrase like, you can see islands on a map, but you don't know the lives on that island. Like the government doesn't care or see the weight of like their actions. And of course he's just flaunting this doomsday button. He doesn't even seem to know just how bad it would be.
Then we flash back
to it 20 years ago. So that would be basically at the time of Roger's execution.
Oh.
Right? Somewhere around that time, before or after, I don't know. But we're over in West Blue, which is on the other side of the red line from East Blue, which is where, Luffy and them started their journey. And in West Blue, we're at a little island called Ohara. You've probably heard this name come up a little bit before, but now we know, okay, it's this little island. And we see a little baby Robin.
Yes, tiny Robin, the one we saw on the wanted posters.
Yes, 8-year-old Robin. She's being picked on for being a monster girl. What were you thinking at this point, seeing this?
I mean, I didn't expect that her life was so lonely, like from the beginning. Like, I thought something had happened and then she spent her life alone.
Right.
I didn't know that she was alone all the time, which is even worse.
It chills me that you said that because that is so important. She starts off alone, and she also starts off with these mysterious powers.
Yes,
how the heck does an 8-year-old get a hold of a devil's fruit?
Right, we don't even know, right?
We don't know, and I don't think we ever know.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure there's been no...
I wonder if she just found it.
She just found it. Yeah, I mean, I know Luffy was a kid when he got his, but that's because he's a dum-dum, and he just... did something stupid. But Robin, it's like she's really smart. She doesn't just go like eat random fruits and like, hey, so I wonder, if it has to do with the kind of stuff that's on the island, everything that's going on with it.
Right. I was super sad when I saw that she was, by herself, being bullied by other kids and sort of envying other kids who had parents as she walked by them on the streets.
There's sort of a theme that you're seeing with moms coming in here. There's a mom that scolds her for hitting one of her children.
Yeah.
There's a mom asking her daughter what she wants to eat for dinner. I think you see, a family in the background inside a window. Then that's when she goes home and she's calling out to an Aunt Roji. And basically this sort of Cinderella story unfolds.
Yes.
Where she's being forced to clean and, make her own really sad jelly sandwich while her aunt and I guess a cousin are out for her cousin's birthday. And she's left home alone and no mom in sight. And it's very sad.
It is so sad. But she has friends, though.
Yes,
Luckily,
she does.
Jeez, I was like, can't be.
Right.
So she has friends. She visits this tree that is a library.
Yeah.
And there's an archaeologist group there. And that is friends with her. So she goes there and they tell her she passed her doctorate exam. Okay.
They have a big old, party and everything and cake.
With a perfect score.
She's 8.
At 8. She's a doctor of archaeology.
At 8 years old. Nico Robin.
At 8 years old, what was I doing? I mean, I was definitely not getting a doctorate.
I was just impressed that I could tie my shoes. So was everyone else.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it's even crazier, like, when she's even younger. But anyway, so they're like, yeah, now you can join our research. You're an archaeologist with us.
Mm-hmm.
And Professor Clover with the clover hair, which is
and
some
beard.
of my favorite, like, hair in one piece. He starts explaining that they are in the Tree of Knowledge, which has stood for over 5,000 years. And that is actually the oldest piece of recorded history that we know about One Piece, is that this Tree of Knowledge is 5,000 years old. It holds the world's largest library, which you can see all around them is this whole huge floor-to-ceiling library. You see the tree from the outside, you know it's huge. It kind of makes me think a little bit of the real world's library of Alexandria in Egypt.
Yeah.
And that sort of story, a
Yes.
little bit.
Ended the same way.
Little bit, yeah. And this is also really interesting because, okay, this blows my mind, but in this library, you see a solar system planetary structure
That's true.
in the middle.
That's
Did you
true.
stop and look at it?
I didn't.
Pause that
But
shit.
now that you
Pause it and look.
are telling me this,
It's the
true.
planet. It is
planet.
the planet of that One Piece is on. And there are 6
Wow.
little orbiting moons around it.
What?
And one of the moons even has its own moon. It's
I'm
a
gonna
moon
go back
moon.
at that.
It
and
it
check
is
it
so
out.
crazy.
Oh,
Like,
my God.
and it blows my mind because, you know, we've seen maps of,
Uh-huh.
you know, the red line, grand line, and how the world kind of lays out, east blue, west blue. But now we see the planet.
Planet.
And we knew that there was a moon that Eneru went to.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have to ask, which one?
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
Wow.
You know, and I honestly I didn't notice it my first time around. I didn't notice that.
So you noticed it on the rewatch?
Yes, I noticed
That's
on the
amazing.
rewatch, and I was like, what? Wait a second. How did I not know this? Not think about this? And like, and you know, I'm pretty sure it is the planet because if you look at it, there's a band of land kind of going around it, and it is tilted on a certain axis, which makes the whole north blue, south blue kind of arrangement make sense.
Makes sense. Yeah, because it's sort of
Right, because
tilted.
you kind of instinctively want either the grand line or the red line to be a hemisphere.
Right.
And so north and south would be perfectly over, but it's not because the planet is tilted and it has that band of land, and it's cool. It's cool.
It is very cool. Robin is super happy. She's very eager to, you know, join the investigation, and
Right.
they're studying, and she straight out says that, like, I'm super eager to investigate what happened in the blank century. And you can see the panic on Clover's face.
Everyone is just like, what? And they're shocked because basically they're like, wait, were you spying on us? You know, because they were in the basement of this library and studying the poneglyphs. And she's like saying that's kind of how she learned it. She admits to it. Professor Clover's freaking out because that is a huge, you know, considered a huge criminal act by the world government. Big deal. And, you know, if they find out that this little girl knows this stuff, they'd go after her, and it's dangerous. And so he's just like upset and banning her. Here's the thing, Robin is saying like she wanted to be with them, part of their group. That's why she studied all of this stuff. That's why she wanted to become an archaeologist, because she wanted to belong somewhere. This is the key to her character motivations, and everything that's happening is, you know, in one scene, we're seeing her like being dejected by society and her own family, but she does find this group. She just wants to be part of them. And now they're telling her, like, no, God, like, you can't,
Yeah.
you know, you can't study that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they're mad, and she runs away, and it's really sad.
Yeah, she's super disappointed. So she just walks off. She's just strolling, and she finds a giant on the beach.
Yeah, you know, as you do.
Yeah, as
You
you
just
do. He just
find
washed
a
up.
giant.
And he sort of tries to scare her, but doesn't work.
Yeah. This big dumb lug. So he's trying to scare her off, and even when he wakes up, he says, I wonder if she's okay. And you're like, who is that? You know, you're wondering at the time, but you don't know who he's talking about. But he is talking to Robin and just kind of saying, oh, like, you would call me a monster or something, or you would be scared. You would definitely tell the whole town about me. Something like that, you know, and just sort of doubting her. And she's just like, not really interested in you.
No.
And then this is where we see it.
The
Laugh.
Yeah, he just starts laughing.
What did you think about the Darashishi laugh?
It's hilarious. There, she.
It is so annoying but cute. When you first hear it, you're just like, what? Can we just do one?
Yeah.
Ready?
I mean, it makes you laugh.
It does.
Serves
It
its purpose.
It serves its purpose, but it is so silly and wonderful. And I mean, at this point, Oda knows the laughs he gives his characters are just dumb, and he's rolling with it.
Yeah.
And why not?
Why
it's
not?
Beautiful.
And when Robin hears it, she's like, "What's that?"
Yup. Same.
And he's like, "It's nothing. I'm just laughing."
Yeah, he's just like, I'm laughing, and he has this whole thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
And he introduces himself as Jaguar D. Sol.
Mm-hmm.
So now we know that he is one with D, the initial D in his
true.
name. And I'm pretty sure he's the only giant we've met who has D in his name. But he says his whole family has that, so maybe there are more. I don't know.
Maybe there are more.
Yes.
Interesting. I didn't notice that.
You didn't notice
Jonna.
that?
No.
Oh,
Gotta keep remembering
yes.
about the D.
The D, yeah. So a few days later, Robin is talking with him again. Like, seems like they're kind of getting along. And I mean, so he's like the new place where she's going instead of the Tree of Knowledge and stuff to be with the people there. And she shows him her devil fruit powers. And I love he does this stupid line. He's like, "It looks pretty handy."
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like,
He makes a little joke.
I do have to call out. Okay, so the English dub voice of Jaguar is so good. I loved how he had the little accent to it. It's so country and just really funny. And the voice actor is Cole Brown, who is also the voice of Blackbeard.
Gotcha.
But Cole Brown passed away in 2016. So I'm really glad that we, have this little, like this one really great character from him. So glad we got that.
So yeah, they've become friends during, this time as he's making a raft to try and leave the island. And he tells her something that it's going to turn out to be important later. He tells her that when you're having fun, you laugh.
Yes.
So when you're feeling down, you just need to laugh.
Right.
So that way you'll be happy again.
Right.
And he starts doing it and she starts practicing.
Right. She just, like, it's so cute. She tries. Yeah. Oh my God. And eventually, we get this she, and this whole thing. It's so cute.
It is very cute.
Oh,
so
I love it.
I love it too. So then by the end of the episode, we see that the Marines are making their way to Ohara.
Yes.
And it seems like they have a purpose for it. Like they have a plan.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to be good.
Yes.
A good one.
And we also see
Nico Robin's mom.
Olvia walks ashore.
Yeah, she makes shore in Ohara too. And we know it's her because before, one of the archaeologists mentioned that Robin was just like her mom. And we see like her wanted poster. So we know it's her.
Which is kind of similar to Robin's poster. Like, it's interesting.
And that's where it ends.
That's where it ends.
When she gets there. To be continued.
276. Fated mother and daughter. The mother's name is Olvia.
The town is buzzing with the news of the Marine ship that just arrived.
Right. And they're actually talking about Olvia's ship that has washed ashore. So they're not quite, I don't think they're quite aware of all the other ships that are coming in.
Oh, I thought they were talking about them. Oh, because she had a Marine ship.
She had a Marine ship.
Got it.
So
all this time I thought it was the other Marines.
I know. And that I kind of realized now, and it makes some things make a little bit more sense because she comes in on that ship and the town is already abuzz, and then someone, mentions it's the professor, and they're like, he's like, oh, we have to prepare, the Navy must be here to investigate us, but it's okay because, they hear it's just this one ship, so they're not
they're
worried.
Not worried.
This is apparently this is normal for Ohara, the Navy, the Marines are going to come and just check, like, hey, are you doing poneglyph studies? No? Okay, never mind. But they don't realize it's a whole fleet after them.
So meanwhile, Saul is done with his raft, but he sees that Robin is sad that he's leaving, and he makes up an excuse to stay a little bit longer.
Yes.
And Robin starts explaining to him why she studied archaeology, which is to set sail with her mom because her mom is out investigating the poneglyphs. So she just wants to join her and be able to leave with her the next time she comes around. And he hears her and he immediately like reprimands her, like, you can't just tell people about this, which is true, little girl.
It's true. Did you not learn?
Yeah, this is the second person that tells you this.
Second time that someone says, like, it's a big deal. But as she's talking about this, he suddenly, like, a light bulb goes on and he realizes, like, and he asks her, what is your mom's name? She says, Nico Olvia. And he's like, wait, what? You were her daughter this whole time? So now we know he knows Olvia. And also, Saul realizes that he is on Ohara, which he starts freaking out. Like, if we're here, like, we need to warn everyone they're coming for Ohara.
Yeah, he tells her, like, you need to warn people. And at first, she doesn't believe him. She's like, why are you lying to me? Why are you saying these horrible things? But he's like, I would not joke about this. Like, this is, you need to warn people about this. And then at the same time, we see Nico Olvia at the library doing the same thing. She's trying to warn them and telling them what happened to her expedition.
Right. 6 years ago, the expedition to go kind of find the poneglyphs was destroyed. And she was the only survivor of that. The problem is now the government is starting to suspect, since she's from Ohara and stuff, and she knows the poneglyphs, they're wondering, like, who else on Ohara, like, knows how to read the poneglyphs? Like, what are they doing? Why are they trying to find them? At this point, we see the scholars saying, basically, they know they're doomed, but they're not going to leave the library unprotected. That stuff is all so precious to them.
We see like a flashback within the flashback because Clover asks, I think he asked Olvia if she's gonna see Robin.
Yes.
And she gets like a sort of a flashback
of basically when she left the island.
When she left.
Right? Yeah, when she first left on this expedition. And it was, she said something about fulfilling her husband's wish. So apparently he was also kind of looking for the poneglyphs, the blank century, things like that. And so she left Robin with her brother, and it was very sad partying. And of course Robin is like freaking out, like, Mom, don't leave. And she just has to just turn her back and walk away.
We see baby Robin
2 years old.
Yeah, 2-year-old.
2-year-old Robin walking through the library looking for books to read.
Like her mom, because that's all she wants.
Can 2-year-olds read?
I mean, this one can.
This one can't. Robin can. She's just so smart. And it makes sense because, I mean, she has to be in order to know and remember all of this stuff, to remember everything she's learned about the language of the poneglyphs. Because she didn't learn it by sitting there in front of books. She was like spying.
Right.
Anyway, so like mom, like daughter, this is when Olivia replies to the professor and says, no, like, I don't want her to get hurt. I'm going to avoid her. I'm going to kind of, just ignore her and like, keep moving on. And this is where we see a huge parallel between Olvia and Nico Robin. How Olvia is trying to push Robin away to protect Robin. Robin tries to push the Straw Hats away to protect them. And it's this huge kind of balance between, wanting to be part of something. Robin wants to be part of the archaeologists, whereas Olvia wants to separate herself even from the archaeologists as well. She's trying to say, like, let me go back and, like, y'all stay here. No one knows that, you're connected to me. Pretend like you don't know me.
Yeah, that way I can be the criminal.
Right, let me be the criminal. And there's this moment when Olvia is running through the town back to where the Marines are, and Robin is running, heading into town because she learned that her mom is on the island from Saul. And she's heading in towards the library, and there's this moment when they cross paths. And to me, I feel like not only is that like this really like annoying moment where you're like, that's your mom, just look, that is her right there. But it is also sort of a representation of the way their values are crossing and completely opposite, because while her mother is trying to run away from everyone and go be on her own to protect everyone, Robin is heading towards them and trying to find these people, trying to reconnect with her group.
That's a great observation.
Thanks.
So yeah, she runs to meet the Marines, and Robin reaches the library to warn them about the Marines' plans, and Clover tells her, like, not to say that she's a part of the group. They're like, you're just a little girl, so if you just don't associate yourself with us,
Right.
then you can survive.
He is asking her to compromise one of her big values. She wants to be part of them. And
Yes.
he's telling her, like, say that you are not.
Mm-hmm.
Can she do it?
Can she do it? Meanwhile, we go back to town and we see how government officials are telling people, like, everybody who's not part of the group of scholars, like, you need to evacuate the island immediately. And everybody's trying to get answers, and they're like, we don't have to give you answers, we just have to give you the message.
Right.
It's on you what you want to do with that. So that's how you know they don't really care.
They don't really
if
care.
these people survive or not.
They're serious about it. And it's interesting, that moment, because it also illustrates the option of separation. It's telling these people, you can stay here, or you can separate from the scholars and leave them.
So Olvia faces this Marine called Spandine, who seems as the leader of this whole thing that's going to happen. She's sort of trying to make it all about herself so that for everybody else, nobody else has to do anything. He basically tells her that, your efforts are meaningless because we need to make an example out of Ohara.
Right. So you find out all of this.
Yeah.
Going after Ohara, because there's many other scholars in the world. Why the ones from Ohara? It's because they're the ones who are closest to the poneglyphs, basically, to understanding them, and they just want to make an example.
Yeah, so that no one else tries to keep doing this. It is awful.
How awful. It's the government doing this. And I don't know if you caught this, but Chief Spandine was talking about his son and how he wants his son to take over CP9 when he's done. His son is Spandam.
I was wondering the names because they're very similar.
Spandine,
and
yep.
I was wondering, like, what does this have to do with
father,
anything?
like son. They're
That
both
makes-
cowards and total a-holes. Like, there you go.
There you go. So Robin basically, like, she doesn't want to leave, so she stays nearby as she's watching, like, all the scholars be rounded up by the Marines outside of the library, while the Marines are just searching basically for an excuse for what they're doing.
Right.
Because they already have the plans for this, as we know.
Right.
And Spandine arrives with Olvia. And I think he tells them of what is happening. And that's when Clover stands up and he's, like, giving, like, his speech about the real reasons behind all of this.
So we see kind of the villagers are still just confused, like, what did the scholars do? There's no evidence, there's no solid evidence yet to say that they are doing anything wrong, because they've been hiding their poneglyph studies. But on top of that, even if they were studying the poneglyphs, they're not doing, what are they going to do? But the government is making it out like, oh, don't you villagers know these scholars are trying to just build this weapon, this secret weapon to destroy everything. And
he calls the government council.
Yes, he calls the 5 elder stars.
The elders.
Basically to ask them, to tell them, essentially, we found that's what happens. Like, basically they find the basement where they're studying the poneglyphs and report it to Spandine, and he reports it to the 5 elder stars and says, hey, like, we have total proof, like, these people are monsters, I mean, this is reflected in the whole current arc, what's happening with the jury and the judge, the 3-headed judge dude, of where they're basically saying, like, the government accuses people without having any evidence, or they treat them as guilty on just an accusation.
Yeah, Clover stands up and he's like, if you want, I can tell you my hypothesis about the blank century.
Right.
We cut to Saul, who's looking for Robin to try and help her get off the island. So we see that he's desperate. So we know that this is super serious. And that's where it ends.
Yeah, we see more battleships on the horizon, and they're coming up their way. And also, this is where Olvia sees Robin, and she just recognizes her, basically. Or no, she hears Robin's name and looks up and sees her, and just finally sees her for the first time for 6 years. And she can't say anything.
To be continued. And don't forget, you can watch all One Piece anime episodes on Funimation.com/One Piece or the Funimation Now app, and check out our blog at funny.to/One Piece podcast for all the info on binge routes and more. Episode 277, The Tragedy of Ohara, The Terror of the Buster Call. So, the elder on the transponder basically says, like, the evidence is clear, and I don't know if he's faking it. I think he might be faking it. He's like, oh, we have to enforce our own rule.
I caught that moment too,
And I'm like,
where he has his
wait,
hand on his head
like,
and he's
wait, are
just
you faking
dramatic.
this?
Like, I don't know, because he seems to know of Professor Clover as being, you know, a really like world-renowned archaeologist, well respected. I mean, these guys are, you know, elder. I think they kind of, 'cause this is a travesty that they're about to commit, where they're destroying all the knowledge and destroying these people who know all this stuff. I think he is aware that this is a big thing that they're sort of sacrificing in order to achieve their awful goal of protecting, you know, air quoting here, protecting, you know, the world from these horrible people who want to build this warship sort of thing.
And then we have like this exchange between them.
Yes.
That is very interesting because Clover is telling the history of this planet belongs to all of mankind. And
yes.
No matter what it is.
Right. All bets are off. So he's just speaking his truth
mind,
right now. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, he states that, and he continues to essentially just reveal to the government saying, like, we have to accept what the history is. And I have, you know, there's two mysteries that are unsolved and essentially a hypothesis that he has. And this is where he goes and explains.
This is where he breaks it down.
Things. He breaks it down. This is what we've been waiting for, to understand what is up with this world of One Piece. What is going on? We still don't quite know, but we get a good chunk right here. What were your thoughts, Jocelyn?
It's so much. I had to watch it several times.
I did too, so
because I just wanted to make sure I was understanding everything that he was saying, because he goes in and there's several layers to it of everything that he says, because he starts off like, well, maybe you're using the fact that the poneglyphs lead to this weapon as an excuse and you're really hiding something else. And I'm like, whoa. So first of all, it's not just about the weapons.
Right.
So first layer right there. Right. He starts going on about like, what's the reason that the poneglyphs exist? Like,
why were they made? Why are they indestructible? Because in the beginning of this episode, the submarines are saying how they can't even destroy it with a cannonball.
It's unbreakable.
Unbreakable stone. Why would they make them so sturdy and scatter them around the world?
Right.
Obviously.
Why are they hidden?
The ancient people who made it didn't want someone to find it. They had an enemy. And they're talking about how 800 years in the past, the blank century ends. So blank century started 900 years ago, and when it ended, that's when the world government was founded.
Casually,
just you know,
coincidence.
Suddenly it's there. What a quinky dink! Oh, magical. And so Professor Clover is like, so the government is trying to erase the history.
So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, so this makes sense, because as he's saying this, like, we see poneglyphs in different places, and I was thinking about the ones that we've seen. There was supposed to be one in Alabasta. We saw the one in Skypiea, and we see like scattered around the world. This one under the ocean, I think I saw, and it made me think about how the Skypians were trying to protect the poneglyphs. Like, it was their mission. No, not the Skypians, the Shindorians. The Shindorians' purpose in life as a people was to protect this sacred thing. Protect it from whom? So that's when this clicked on my mind, sorta.
Yeah.
And then another layer comes in.
More layers. Building that onion out.
I know.
What do you got, Jocelyn? What now?
So he's got this hypothesis that an unknown country, this powerful kingdom, it disappeared. Right.
He's saying once upon a time, before the Void Century, or at some time, there was a country that no longer exists. And they even show us this little island.
Drawing of an island.
Yeah.
His thoughts are that they made the poneglyphs to protect their history, since now they've been erased from it. More than the weapon, then the world government fears what this history and ideologies contain.
Right.
On this poneglyphs.
What do these people know?
What is this country?
Right.
Where did it come from? How do we know about it? What's it called?
And that's
so
the question.
Many questions.
And Professor Clover is about to tell us the name of the island is...
They shoot him.
He's shot.
We don't know.
Rip. Okay, I want to ask you, Jocelyn, what do you think the island's name is?
I don't know, Jonna. Do I know
No
the
clue?
name of this island?
I don't know. And this is me like just fan theory speculating completely. Like this answer has not really been revealed in anything that I've seen so far. I'm not totally caught up with the manga, but I don't think it's shown anything in the past few chapters. One thing is maybe it has something to do with the initial D, or is the island One Piece?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just things, just thoughts. Now we know, like it's a little bit interesting because we know that the One Piece, or we know that Gold Roger is telling people to go to the island of Raftel. So that may not be the name of the island, but you know, and I have some more theories I will reveal in a second. But just thoughts, just curious, like what could the name be?
What could the name be? I have no idea. What could it be? But it could be totally related to the One Piece. I mean, that's where Roger's sending all these people to find.
Right.
Maybe he's just trying to spread that knowledge somehow, or try to make somebody find it. Have we discovered the truth?
Perhaps.
Oh man. So Clover's dead.
Well,
he's not completely dead, but yeah, he got shot.
He's doing great.
Yeah.
And the Elder Star basically says, like, because of this, they know too much. Initiate the Buster Call.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's it.
And they do.
Presses the button,
and he's telling Robin to leave, like, go, like, get away from here. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to be alone.
They start firing at the tree, at the library.
Right.
Like the Marines. So everybody rushes into the library to try to save the books.
Yes.
Spandine takes Olvia. They're like, okay, we got to get out of here because we just pressed this button. This is going to destroy everything.
Yeah.
And we still need to interrogate her. So let's take her. And Robin takes a look at her and recognizes her.
Right. A 2-year-olds, they say, like, don't quite have... I disagree because I have memories from when I'm 2, but, like, I don't know. They say, like, the memory is kind of fuzzy. Mm-hmm. So just the fact that she could remember a face so well when she was 2, she's just so damn smart.
I know.
Robin is so smart.
And you can see her as she's clicking it on her mind.
Right.
Like, she's going through her memories.
Right.
And they're a little fuzzy. And
right. And it's just like she just
puts it together.
Seeing this face in front of her, puts it together, and it's like, or she's like asking her or something.
Yeah, she asks her if it's her mom, and Olvia says no, and she's like, are you sure? And that broke my heart when she asks her, are you sure? I'm like,
oh my god, this scene where she keeps saying, like, don't you know who I am? Or like, do you remember me? Or stuff like that. No,
maybe you don't recognize me.
Yeah, maybe you don't recognize me. I've grown up since then. And Olvia just keeps denying her, just the same way Robin denies the Straw Hats, just like trying to push her away because it's not safe. And she's standing there refusing to look at her. And the Marines even say, do you know this girl? And she says no. And Robin's like, I've been waiting for you all these years. Just once I wanted to be with you. This is when she just shouts it out. Like, I learned to read the poneglyphs so that I could be with you.
Mm-hmm. So I could go to sea with you.
So she...
like, at this moment, I'm so heartbroken because, I mean, she's just a little girl who wants her mom. So she's been told several times that she cannot just say this, but it's her mom, and she's right there. And she's just trying to convince her to stay with her.
Right, and she cannot. Nothing can bring this little girl to deny the one sort of bit of identity that she has. Mm-hmm. The one bit of unity that she might be able to have with anyone is the fact that she understands this stuff, that she can read the poneglyphs. So of course she's just gonna blurt that out. Mm-hmm. And yeah, she's just begging her, like, don't leave me alone again. Oh my God.
All I wanted was to hold your hand, I think she says, as a family.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God,
and oh my God, and you
girl.
And her mom is just like refusing to look at her, but breaking down in tears, like just cannot look her way. And I think this is like when it finally just all goes kaput, because the Marines are like, oh, well, remember that girl's face, don't let her leave the island, because they want her to be kind of taken out with a Buster Call. Mm-hmm. But because everything's kind of like falling apart and stuff, and everything's exploding, Spandine freaks out and he runs off.
Yeah. And
leaving Olvia behind.
Yeah, they just leave her. They're like, we just need to save ourselves.
Right. Which is good, because now Robin and Olvia can finally have a moment as mother and daughter together. And it's so beautiful.
It is. So she just comes over and holds her mom's hand and just sits there.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So, yeah. And then they sort of break down and just start like hugging each other. They're so glad to be there, at least
if
for
you think
a
about
minute.
it, this is like the first time that her mom has really had a chance to be together with Robin. Like, just this sort of whole, like, being with those you love, how that theme is going through here, and it's like you don't always get to, and like that's her first chance to do it, and then it's probably Robin's last for years.
Awful. It's awful.
So then
she gets a good moment at least. Like,
yeah, they get this good, beautiful moment.
And her mom gets to tell her, like, she's so proud of her. Like, you don't understand. Like, those things that you did are not things that just anyone can do. Like, I'm so proud of what you've done.
Right. And it's important knowledge that needs to be passed down to generations. Because, like, Saul comes up and Olvia's like, let me leave Robin with you, like, you take her and get her out of here. But so what we were saying before about theories, Olvia says something here which I think is one of the most important lines, because she says history is mankind's greatest treasure. What is this story about? We're trying to find the greatest treasure of the world. And she just said it.
That's true.
History
is the greatest treasure.
So this whole thing about, like, there's this mysterious island, there's this century of history that we don't know about, they're looking for what that is. Is that one piece? Is one piece a piece of history?
Do you think Roger put his treasure there on purpose for this, because of this? To help mankind get the true treasure, which isn't his gold. It's just the history.
I mean, did he even have treasure?
Did he even have treasure? Exactly.
Like, the treasure is the history, the knowledge itself. And that is, like, that answer is there at the end of the world. At the end of the grand line.
At the end.
Like, that's just my theory.
I mean, I'm right there with you.
But it all pieces together.
Like, it honestly, it can't be just gold,
to
be honest. Like, I don't doubt that there is gold, like, because after all, he was the king of the pirates.
Right.
But yeah, they're
I mean, certainly he probably pitched it in that way, like, and was saying, like, you know, find my treasure, just to get people all excited about it, you know, for you know, the material gain of treasure. But it's to inspire people, including people like Luffy and them, to move towards it and find it themselves.
Oh man, this is deep stuff.
Deep stuff. One Piece theory.
One Piece theories. I'm with you though. Like, I am a supporter of your theory.
Thanks, fam. So we still have Olvia, you know, is kind of having her final goodbye to Robin. And saying, you know, we believe in the past and the future that you will inherit. I wonder what future that is. What are they inheriting? And then she says one more line, you must live, Robin. And this is where we get the other sort of contrasting value that's going to come into play later. Like, she's planted the seed in her mind, like, she's inspired Robin to live, which, as kind as it is, it also makes things tough.
So Saul takes Robin away on his hands. She's just a tiny thing.
Yeah, just a tiny little, like, look, baby Robin.
He's running with her. He's holding her in his hands.
Like a little bird, little Robin.
And we see sort of Saul's a little bit of his backstory.
Right. He was a Navy vice admiral.
He was a Navy vice admiral who basically refused to continue to kill scholars. He was hunting these people down, but he didn't understand. Why they were killing them, since they were not criminals. They were just studying.
Right. So we can see back then that he had his own sort of sense of justice. That wasn't the Marine like sense of justice, but his own bit more rational, in my opinion, of just like these are just scholars. What's wrong with trying to learn? He even asks the question, why not, if it's so dangerous to learn this history, why don't we help them to protect them?
Right.
So still, it's denied.
So apparently he defects
with Olvia. Yeah.
That's how he reached Ohara.
And so now, in the more present time, when Ohara is being attacked, the Marines have to shoot their former vice admiral, and they're all just like, should we do this? Like, and he even gives this line out there when he picks up this whole dang ship.
I know.
Huge, like, battleship thing, and just picks it up and throws it. And he says, I don't know about justice, but I can protect my friend. which is a very Luffy line.
That is true.
If you see that parallel as well.
So yeah, as he's protecting Robin from the ship, that's where it ends.
It ends.
But we have one
more episode.
Oh my god.
And it's such an epic episode.
It is.
Episode 278, Say You Want to Live. We are your friends.
So, the tree of knowledge is burning. The scholars decide to start throwing the books outside the window to the
better
lakes.
wet than burned is what they're saying. And they're just like, save every single sentence, every book is important, and this whole scramble to do that. Meanwhile, Saul is fighting the marine ships, and there's all this cannon fire landing on the island.
He tells Robin to keep going and reach the evacuation ship.
Yes.
But when she gets there, they don't let her.
Right. The townspeople are like saying mean things, and they're like, oh, she's the monster. And they're like, she's just a little girl. So you both there's some people on there who are kind of good. But then also they're the ones who are jerks. And you're just like, you see this conundrum that she's in. Does she even want to get on this ship with people who are so awful? Chief Spandine tells them, oh, that's that girl. I recognize her face. Don't let her on. So there's almost no point now. Like, there's no way Robin can get on this ship.
Right. So Saul rushes to help her, and we see Aokiji comes in and starts fighting him. And so we see that he was there when all of this happened.
Right. He was there, and that's why Robin, when she's older, is just like freaking out when she sees him, because he's the one who was involved with this attack. And so Aokiji and Saul are kind of arguing about their sort of sense of justice, and Aokiji is like, there's, they broke the law. We have to protect people. That is justice.
But Saul, has a point. He's like, well, there's only so much you can do in the name of justice, and you're better than this.
Right.
So they're having like this back and forth about what's right, and then
in the background was one of the most horrific things I think that happens in One Piece.
Me too.
Because
I gasped so hard when this happened.
The ship, the evacuation ship with all the townspeople of Ohara, gets blown up by the Marines. They blow it up.
So they killed everybody, not just
they
the criminals.
It's
quote
genocide.
Unquote.
They murdered everyone on that ship. And even Aokiji is like, what just happened? That wasn't part of the plan. And they look over. Who do they find? Who does it? But Vice Admiral Sakazuki. This is your first time to see this guy.
Yes.
You get to see him again, and you get to hate him.
Oh, even more? So he does things that are worse than genocide? Jeez.
Well, no, okay. Okay, let me be a good person. The genocide is really bad, but he hurts more people who you come to love even more, and you just get so mad.
I already hate him.
Hate him more. Keep hating him.
So Aokiji recognizes that they definitely went too far. And Saul sort of takes this chance that everybody, that they're both baffled by what just happens, and makes a run for it with Robin, but Aokiji traps him with his ice. And that's when Saul makes his last speech to Robin, which was super heart-wrenching.
So heart-wrenching, yeah, because he says this line, which is very important. He says, ain't no one born into this world to be alone. I also thought, that's kind of similar to how Tom was saying, like, no one is born right or wrong, like no one's born evil kind of thing. He just tells her to smile and be happy and like laugh through the sadness, that kind of thing, like comes back because he did a she's in front of her. And I'm just,
this is such a heart-wrenching moment for me, because Robin doesn't have any friends, right? She has her, her scholar friends, but apart from that group, like she doesn't have anybody to care for her. And then she meets this giant and they're friends. And as he's trying to help her escape the island, trying to protect her, he's telling her all these nice things, like, your mom is a great woman. Ohara is a beautiful place. Like, you need to remember all of these things. He also tells her, you may be lonely, but one day you'll find true friends who'll never leave you. And you don't know when that's going to happen, but you just got to keep laughing through the bad moments until you do.
And then he does his one final derishi, and that's when Aokiji freezes him completely, and Robin just has to keep running. this is the part where we see her with Aokiji on the beach.
Yes.
And Aokiji, he was kind of like so stirred by what Saul had said to him in the fight, and then by seeing, what the Marines did to all the people, he was like, okay, and also I think, they were both vice admirals, Saul and Aokiji, so I think they probably were friends before this.
That could be, that's true.
And maybe kind of as a final, I don't know, farewell to his friend who he just essentially killed, he allows Robin to escape.
Yeah.
And he says this very pretty line saying, what flower will bloom from the seed that Paula saved. And we know that, Robin's power is, the hana, like the flower petals and stuff. So that was very interesting. And he also says, absolute justice can drive a man insane. Which makes you wonder, okay, then what are you proposing here?
Right.
This is some kind of like half justice.
Exactly.
Where basically he sets her up to escape the island. He makes a pathway of ice across the water and gives her this boat and is like, you can get in this boat and, make your way to the next island and you'll be safe. And she asks, can my mom come with me? And he turns and says, no one will be saved. And if that's too painful for you to handle, you can join them. So basically, he is giving her this choice of either she can join her friends and die, or she can live and be alone. It's this crossroads where all of this is coming back. The thing that her mom said, like, you have to live, and her wanting to live, and then also her, long-standing desire to be a part of a group, to be part of something. But now she basically is given this choice. You can live or you can be with others, but you can't have both. And think back to what Saul said. He said, ain't no one born in this world to be alone. So you don't get born, you're not given life just to live it alone. But she has been forced in such a situation where she doesn't get to have both. So it's
in order to live.
If you want to live, you got to be alone. You want to be with people, they all got to die, and you do too.
That's true. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, it's like that. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
And then she makes the choice to get on the boat. Of course, who
Right.
Like, who would?
It's what her mom asked her to do.
And right, she chooses to do what her mom said, which is live, and which is kind of what her mom did, was, keep surviving, keep persevering, and even though it means not being able to be with those you love. And so she gets on this boat and is sailing away, thinking about this, and the island is just on fire behind her, and she is just sobbing and trying to laugh through it.
She's just there shushing all the way through.
And I'm gonna cry now.
It's awful because all the people that she cares about are dying. She's watching her island burn as she now faces a lonely existence.
Right. Even the scholars on the islands, like, she knows, like, even they're gone, everyone.
And we see a little glimpse of the library before the destruction. We see the other side after the destruction, and it's terrible. This is when I started crying, and I'm gonna grab my tissue right here.
Yeah.
It's the end, right? And Clover says this line that I'm starting to cry right now. Wow.
It's okay. You got it.
So he says, so this is a history that mankind has chosen. Shall we ever learn the error of our ways? And that broke my heart.
Oh.
Because honestly, can you relate to a lot of things that are happening in the world where you think, like, is this a history that we're choosing for ourselves?
Yeah.
Like, when does it stop? When do we take the learnings of the past, of our history, and use them to move forward? But instead, in this case, they are actively choosing to just destroy it, and that's awful.
Like, not even make the choice of, let's hurt these people, but let's not even allow anyone to learn better.
And they make that choice for everybody.
Oh, big feels.
It's a lot.
Big feels, yeah.
Sorry, everybody.
No.
Need a second to recompose.
So now we do see, after we have a double Robin eye catch.
Which doesn't have music. It just has the somber music of what's happening right now.
Just very, very, well chosen things to do with that. And they, after that, they show us how the library looks. Or basically, it's just just all ashes. Everything is ashes. And the Marines are picking through it, looking for survivors, and there are none as far as they can tell. But they do look into the lake, and they see underwater mounds and mounds and mounds of books, which were like these people's like dying act to get all these books into the lake and hopefully protect them. And I mean, it is kind of cool because I think one of the books is Eiichiro Oda on it, on the cover.
Really?
I think so.
Oh,
I have to check that. But yeah, it's kind of funny. Why not? Just throw in little stuff in there.
I'm wondering at this point when I see all of the books on the lake, because like there's hundreds and hundreds of books.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we'll see, do they actually...
Did they salvage them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. I don't know if we ever find out if
we
they
ever
do.
know.
I really can't remember.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
That's the end of Ohara.
Of Ohara, but then we start to see kind of what is Robin's story. And so the Marines very quickly learn that Robin is still alive and she's at large, and they essentially just start chasing after her for the rest of her life. They put this 79 million berry bounty on her immediately, and so everywhere that she goes from now on, she's faced with people who believe that the people of Ohara were the devils of Ohara. You know, they believe the propaganda that the government has spread about them. They say that she's going to try to, you know, build the warship, and they blame her for sinking like 6 ships, even though it was, you know, Saul and the whole battle and stuff. Like they blame her powers for that. And all these people, everywhere she goes, they sell her out every single time.
Every time.
This little girl just trying to find shelter and a place to stay, and they'll be so nice to her, so kind. Oh, sweet, like,
yeah,
oh, nice girl, like, you're helping us, thank you. And then they'll call in the Marines to come, like, collect, so they can collect the bounty and stuff.
And she's always, or at least I noticed, like, she has to always be on the lookout for this.
Yes.
Like, she always needs to be thinking that she has to protect herself from other people that in the end are just going to turn her in. Like, when I think it was a couple that she was with at an inn or something, and they're talking about turning her in, and you see her sleeping, but she has her eyes open, and I'm like, this little girl can't even sleep.
She can't even sleep
properly.
And yet through it all, she's so sweet. You see her with a dog, and she's like, sorry, doggy, I don't have food for you. But, you know, you're like, through it all, she's still just such a kind little misunderstood girl. And basically she realizes that she's not safe around good people. Well, at least if I turn over to, you know, pirates and like the underworld kind of like black market sort of type of people, at least, you know, at least they'll be less likely to sell her out, because then they would put them in danger. So she finds some solace in staying with them. But even then, the Marines will still come after her, and it's chaos. And these people aren't going to protect her. Eventually, it leads her to Crocodile. Yeah, and that explains how that happened.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, she's trying to like discover the poneglyphs on her own too.
After we see how she found Crocodile, that's when we go back to present, because basically that's when we met her. Yeah, so we're back to Spandam with his transponder, and she tells him, like, if you press that, like, we'll all be dead, like, including you.
Right. Like, you're not special.
Exactly.
We all knew this. He clearly did not know this. But, yeah.
And she turns to the Straw Hats, and she starts, like, telling them, like, now this fate rears its head again to threaten the friends that I've searched so hard to find. And you see that this is the first time since Saul told her that she would find true friends.
Right.
These are her first
she's found
and
them.
only true friends.
Yes.
And so it really is hard on her, because she truly believes that no matter where she goes, in the end, they'll see her as a burden and throw her away, as everybody else has done, because I think she says she's facing the world and all of its darkness on her own. So she's like trapped in this darkness, and she'd rather die than have them throw her away.
Because she's been set up to believe that that is her only choice.
Right.
Either
she
die
can't do both.
or she can't do both.
And you see, like, the Straw Hats are listening to her, like, attentively.
Yes.
And that I was like, wow.
They've been wanting to know this answer as bad as we have, if not more. They've been waiting for this. And once she does, like, even Zoro's like, oh, that explains it. Like, it's...
Yeah, it really got to me because at this point, they're not trying to reason with her.
Right.
Or trying to make her understand anything. They're just listening to her truth.
Right.
And I'm like, oh.
Right. It's beautiful. And it also kind of, this whole like backstory helps explain why Robin was pushing them away so much, because she learned if anyone was around her, they were just going to die. Mm-hmm. It's not just that they would betray her, but also that they wouldn't make it. And she had to learn that all the hard way. Mm-hmm. So then Spandam, of course, he's just like laughing at it. He's loving it up, and he's like saying like, oh, this flag represents the unity of 170 nations, which, I mean, that's a lot of nations. Basically the whole world, and saying the whole world is devoted to capturing this woman. And what does Luffy do? He says this really cool line where he turns to Sniper King and he says, shoot the flag.
Mm-hmm. I really love it because, like, to Luffy, it's super simple.
Oh, yeah, duh.
Like, Spandam says this and he's like, well, if that's Robin's enemy, I know what I'm gonna do.
Right.
And yeah, he just says that.
And
like,
I love...
shoot down that flag.
Right.
And Sniper King doesn't even hesitate.
Yeah, he's just like, yep, got this. Mm-hmm. I got the perfect star for this. And like, it even like reverberates, and like everyone sees like the impact of this. Like, not just because like physically it's like a weird explosion that kind of shoots outward, but also everyone is just like, what? Mm-hmm. Like the sacrilegious kind of thing. You don't just destroy the flag, because basically what Luffy has done is declared war against the world government, and essentially said that he's turning his back on the world for Robin. So basically presenting this third choice of, you know, we will be here, proving their loyalty to her.
Mm-hmm. And I really love the reaction everybody has, because Spandam immediately goes like, you can't do that.
Right.
And Luffy yells back like, bring it on. Like,
yes!
Go
Luffy.
Like, do you think I'm kidding? I just burned your flag.
Right.
Which is terror act on its own. Like, what it means, taking somebody's or something, an entity's or somebody else's flag and destroying it. Like, that's serious. Yeah.
That is a true declaration. And so Luffy asks Robin, because just like he did with Nami and with all the other characters, he's not gonna just sort of force their decisions. He says, I want to hear you say, what do you want? I want to hear you say it, your true wish. And this is when she screams, I want to live. Take me with you.
Take me away from here.
Yeah, take me away from here. Take me with you. Like, this is her reflecting her mother's wish, which is also her own, that she chose when she was taken away, when she left the island of Ohara. And it's also just her desire to be with them.
Mm-hmm. And I really love how they presented this part on the anime, because he asks that, like, yells it at her. Tell me you want to live. And Robin goes like, I can live? Like, yes. Because this wasn't a choice for her.
It wasn't a choice before. And now it is.
And you see, like, the way they did it, you see her in the darkness, and then you see from her point of perspective as she sees the light approaching, and then the camera switches and the light is coming from the Straw Hats and just takes her out of the darkness. And I'm like, oh,
yes.
Like, they literally took her out of her darkness. Out into the light.
It's so beautiful. That's such a wonderful observation. Oh my gosh.
Beautiful.
It's so pretty. And at this point, everyone's crying. At least I was crying and Franky was crying. And I really was glad to have that relatability.
Oh my God, yes. When I saw Franky crying, I was so glad. I was like, oh God, I'm not the only one crying.
I know. Me too. He's like, I love you guys. And it's like, we all love them.
I know.
And essentially...
Oh, also I want to mention that I went back and I switched it to Japanese because I wanted to see it. And it is also a great performance, like in both Japanese and English. Like that Robin part when he yells, she wants to live. It's just amazing.
It is so amazing. That's so cool that you did that, just to like, is it, the same? And it really hits the same. I mean...
Yeah, it gives you goosebumps both times.
Yes. This episode of One Piece, it ends here. It doesn't have a to be continued card, which is kind of unusual. Like
it doesn't?
It doesn't say to be continued. Usually it does. Not in this one. It just ends with like Luffy saying like, let's go, or like, let's do this. Like something like that. On. And I think so. And this is also the last time we ever see an ending song in One Piece.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
That I can remember. Yeah.
Wow.
So they kind of do away with it. I will say, like, I did love this sort of ending song for this arc and stuff with the little pictures and you see fan art in there.
Fan art.
And do you notice the little chopper flying around?
Yes.
Have you seen what that story is about?
No. Well, no.
It's Chopper Man.
Chopper Man. I think actually MJ mentioned it in our last podcast episode that I would later meet Chopper Man.
Yes.
But I don't know where it comes from yet.
Not yet.
But I did notice it.
It is. Well, but it's the next episode.
Oh, okay.
You're going to see what that is. Yay! And it is precious. So, yeah.
But yeah, I also enjoyed it. I really, like, the song is catchy. And I really mostly, except on that episode that I mentioned before where I really just wanted to see what's going to happen next. I usually just watched it because I really enjoyed watching the drawings.
Yeah.
Like saying, that's a very good one.
Me too.
Oh, that one's funny. So
yeah, I did really
like that
too. It was nice.
Mm-hmm. And that's where it ends.
That's it.
And before we end, we do have a social question that we asked everybody. This episode has been quite long, so I'm just going to pick a couple. And the question was, how did you feel when the Straw Hats declared war on the world government to get back Robin, especially after we learned about her past? Ryan Baldwin says, for me, that was the moment when One Piece reached legendary status. The build-up to it was borderline perfect. After everything the crew went through with Usopp and then Robin leaving, stoking this fear that you may never see these characters again, that you've come to care so much about. And after learning about Robin's past and realizing that these are the friends that she's been waiting for her whole life, and the catharsis of seeing Usopp, Sogeking, burn their flag, I never knew that I could come to care so much about fictional characters. And I really love that answer because it really is how I feel.
Yeah, no, that's a wonderful answer. Wow.
Jausa Ariang Agüero says, added to that, and hearing Sol's words echo in her mind only made it that much better. Which is through the Dere Shishi was, it was heartbreaking.
And that's how she still laughs.
Oh my God, it is. On Twitter, we got a lot of crying gifs, especially the Franky crying gif, which I loved. Brandon Acosta and a couple more people put that on our Twitter. Cesar Berben says, I cried and stand the crew years before that term existed. One of the top moments in anime, hands down. Straw Hat love forever.
Yes.
I'm super glad to know that it meant a lot to so many people too.
Yeah.
So thank you everybody for your answers. Be on the lookout for our social question on Facebook at One Piece Official and on Twitter at One Piece Anime. And that's the end of our show. I hope you enjoyed it, everybody.
Yeah, it was very long.
Hopefully our amazing audio engineers will cut it down a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
So we hope you enjoyed this One Piece at a time. Don't forget to check out the Funimation blog at funny.to/One Piece podcast, which will be updated constantly with the binge routes and everything you need to know. Also head to our shop at funimation.com/shop and add One Piece home video to your collection. And for all things One Piece, follow us on Facebook at One Piece Official and on Twitter at One Piece Anime.
We want to thank the people who make this podcast happen. The creator of One Piece, Oda Sensei, Toei Animation, the audio engineers, and of course, everyone joining us on this journey. All you Straw Hats out there listening. Also, please rate this podcast wherever you're listening to it and share it with other One Piece Nakama.
The next One Piece at a time will cover anime episodes 279 to 286. So be sure to watch on Funimation now, subbed or dubbed, and be ready. See ya.
See ya.
That was hard. Oh, but we did it.